Into the same old game.
Here's Johnny. You're gonna need a big approach. So serious.
I am Iron Man.
This is a tasty burger.
Welcome to the InSession Film Podcast.
Welcome to episode 700 for August 9th, 2026, and I'm JD Duran.
And I'm Megan Kearns.
Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. I am so excited for this episode because we have a familiar face joining us for this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, you can already see the excitement, but for those listening, you're going to hear a voice that you have not heard from in a few months. It is so exciting to bring back, I was going to say familiar face, but he shaved his head and I don't recognize him anymore. His beautiful, gorgeous hair is all gone.
When you become a dad, you do weird things.
Yeah, you become sleep deprived. Who knows? It's 2 a.m. I'm shaving my hair off.
I need the heat gone. I need to get rid of the heat.
You need to be free.
It's been hot
Totally
this summer.
fair.
It's been really hot.
Yes, it has been a very hot summer. If you come down to South Florida, you absolutely feel the heat all year round.
Or
It's
I think the
awful.
better way to say it is that, you know, becoming a dad for the first time, bit of a stressful situation. Maybe I lost all my hair.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, no, I think that's fair too. Yeah, it just all naturally dissipated, faded into the ether.
Eh, you know, I don't mind. My wife loves it, so it's
Hey,
all good.
that's all that matters. Whatever.
Yeah, she says
the
I look
wife
like
wants.
a surfer dude, but it's like, okay, I guess I have no idea how to surf, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just pretend. The great Brendan Cassidy is back, first time since being a dad. Of course, we've talked plenty off air, but just to say it one more time for the people, congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
The girl is adorable. I've loved all of the photos.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so I'm
we love her
very
too. She's ahead
excited
of
for you guys.
She's a bit ahead of schedule, like we were just talking about offline. So we have
Yeah.
to start baby-proofing the house way earlier than we ever expected. But I guess that's the good thing. You know, maybe that's good genes are fueling their growth in the way that you want to see. So
Exactly.
that's she's already trying to talk. She's babbling
Love it.
like crazy, and she's mimicking every sound that she hears. I think her first phrase or words or string of words is going to be "I love you," which is as adorable as can get.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And just to, I guess, point it to the main thing, have you noticed any sort of change when watching movies? Because if it hasn't kicked in yet, it will.
Okay.
Just wait.
I have a few. There's one in particular. I don't know if I want to say it now because I think it's going to lead to a massive argument between myself and JD. But there have been a few movies that I've now started to dislike since becoming a girl dad. I kind of had the inverse reaction, believe it or not, on some. Now, there are a few that I know I would have a more positive reaction to, such as something like My Neighbor Totoro, for instance. I've always loved that movie, but seeing that now through the lens of being a girl dad officially, that hits even harder than ever before. But there are a few examples where I look at it now and think, man, as a girl dad, I actually don't think this works anymore. And maybe that might be good for a separate conversation, JD. I don't want to derail things too much. That could be maybe some bonus content down the line, or maybe a future episode where we talk about.
I'm sure it'll come up at some point.
I'm sure it will. Yeah, we'll maybe a great themed episode between you and I sometime in the future could be about parental perception as it relates to movies. I think that'd be a good topic now between the both of us.
For sure. Yeah, I haven't watched too many where I've had the inverse reaction, but most notably the biggest example that comes to mind for me is Interstellar, which we don't have to rehash here because we've already talked about it. In fact, the last time the three of us were together when we did the bracket back in March, we famously talked about Interstellar and that particular experience. But that was certainly one where my frustrations were heightened post being a father for those same reasons.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't rewatched that one since becoming a dad. So honestly, most of my viewing has been Bluey at this point now. So, which is
that's
you
how
do a
it
lot
is.
worse.
Yeah.
Bluey rocks. Bluey absolutely rocks.
Yeah. the Coco Melon movie coming out at just the right time for you.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
No, but it's good to have you here. I do want to bring some clarity to it. Brendan is not back full time yet. Hopefully we'll get to that point in the next few months or so. But he did want to be here for episode 700. We've done a lot of these. Brendan has been here for the majority of these episodes. So we wanted to be here to celebrate episode 700 right off the heels of my birthday, which was really fun.
I know. Happy birthday. 41.
Thank
Is that
you.
correct?
41. Yeah.
Dang.
Sometimes I feel it. Sometimes I don't. I joked about this with Megan last week, or it might have been off air. I can't remember, but I played in a hockey tournament 2 weekends ago, and it was 4 games in a matter of a few hours. And it took me about 5 days to recover.
There you go. That's the feeling.
I was like, okay, like playing hockey weekly is one thing. I can handle that no problem. But 4 games in one day at 41 years old, your body is just not meant to handle that.
It's a little much. Yeah.
So yeah, that was a lot. So sometimes I feel it, but oftentimes I'm, we're flying by. We're doing great.
Hey, you're looking great,
excited.
my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yes, we're here to celebrate 700 episodes. And the theme of this episode, coming off the heels of the Odyssey, which took the world by storm, of course, finally crossing officially. We all anticipated this would happen, but it has officially crossed $1 billion, much to the chagrin of a lot of tiny men out there, which was very, very exciting.
It's always nice to stick it to those
Serves
tiny men.
them right.
Admittedly, I did scroll through Twitter searching a bunch of their tweets after the news dropped just to see them recoil in defeat. It was quite a joyous experience.
Or trying to find some excuse to still justify their reasons for why it's still a quote unquote flop.
Yeah, exactly. It's made $1 billion, still a flop. Yeah, okay. Keep telling yourself that. Keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
So, yes, the Odyssey has crossed $1 billion. And Spider-Man Brand New Day, it didn't take long for that to cross $1 billion. Sony and Marvel got there very, very quickly, and it's well on its way to crossing $2 billion.
I think
that is a huge hit.
I think I heard recently that it's now tracking to maybe potentially hit almost 2.5 to 2.7 billion worldwide by the time it's all said and done, which would make it maybe the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time.
Yes, absolutely.
That's wild.
That's
wild.
Which is pretty wild. Yes.
It has been a year for movies and movies being celebrated and rewarded for that. Not just with movies like The Odyssey or Spider-Man Brand New Day, but for horror movies like Obsession and Backrooms being as successful as they were for given their smaller budgets. Even movies that may not have been as, much of a hit box office wise by comparison that still felt like event movies like Project Hail Mary, for instance.
Yeah.
And guess what? I haven't seen any of these yet. So.
You're in for a treat.
I'm going to be watching them all at home.
Yes, absolutely. So in the spirit of all of that, what we're going to do on this week's episode is that we are going to do a collective ranking. What's interesting about that in and of itself is that we've never done that specifically with 3 hosts before. It's always been a 2-host exercise, and that even with just 2 people can sometimes be quite a lot. So with the 3 of us, this is going to get really interesting. But the specific topic that we're going to do is the biggest hits, the biggest film hits in the InSession Film era. So looking back from 2013 all the way up through the end of 2025, we're not going to include this year quite yet.
Yeah.
So we will not include the Odyssey or Spider-Man in this conversation, but in the InSession Film era, 2013 to 2025, we're going to consider the biggest hits, the biggest blockbusters, and we are going to come up with a consensus top 10. Now, you might be sitting there and wondering, well, what are those movies? What are the movies could you even be considering here? Well, that's a great question. I'm glad that you asked. So
Are you going to list them all right now?
I am. Bear with
Oh
me.
my gosh.
Bear with me. Because I want to give everyone context as to what we are considering here. Now, of course, this list could be endless if you didn't put a cap on it. And
Right.
we did. We wanted to do a top 50. So I looked at the worldwide gross of the top 50 movies from that time span, 2013 to 2025. What are the top 50 in terms of worldwide gross? So again, bear with me, but I do want to list these 50 movies to give the listener some context as to what we are considering for this consensus ranking.
Mm-hmm.
All right. From highest to lowest, here we are. Endgame, The Way of Water, Neza 2, The Force Awakens, Infinity War, Spider-Man No Way Home, Zootopia 2, Inside Out 2, Jurassic World, The Lion King, Furious 7, Top Gun Maverick, Fire and Ash, Avatar Fire and Ash, that is, Frozen 2, Barbie, Age of Ultron, The Super Mario Brothers, Black Panther, Deadpool and Wolverine, The Last Jedi, that is your top 20, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, The First Frozen, Beauty and the Beast, Incredibles 2, Fate of the Furious, Iron Man 3, Minions, Captain America Civil War, Aquaman, Spider-Man Far From Home, Captain Marvel, Transformers Age of Extinction. Wild. But that sits at number 32, over $1 billion of all the movies that feel the most
1.1.
random.
1.1.
That one feels the most random to me. Following that, we have Joker, The Rise of Skywalker, Toy Story 4, Moana 2, Rogue One, Aladdin, Lilo and Stitch. That is our top 39. Despicable Me 3, Finding Dory, Zootopia, Jurassic World Dominion, Oppenheimer, Despicable Me 4, Despicable Me 4, Despicable Me 2, back to back there, The Jungle Book,
Gosh.
Battle of the Five Armies, got a little Hobbit movie in there, Minecraft, and at number 50, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I just listed 50 movies there, obviously. All but 6 of those made $1 billion or more.
So this worked
Wow.
out nicely that we're kind of considering this mostly the $1 billion club of the
Yeah.
InSession Film era.
Mm-hmm. Yep, the $1 billion club. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, 960 is the least of these.
Yeah.
Might as well be $1 billion.
Might
Yeah,
as well.
pretty wild.
Might as well. I mean, also we should keep in mind that we're not adjusting for inflation. These are
No.
actuals based on when
Yeah.
they were actually achieved, and this is worldwide, as we said.
Yes, exactly. So, and what's interesting here is that there are some really good movies in here. I think there's going to be some films that filter to the top.
Yeah.
That feel obvious, even if, where we rank them, that could be debated. But there's also just a lot here that is going to range in opinion. I don't know where we're going to land. And because there's 3 of us, getting to 10 might be quite a challenge, to be honest. Which is why we're spending the whole show just on this, because this is going to take a minute to figure out a top 10.
We're either going to be really nice or we're going to fight.
Yes, I don't know. So I guess before we get into it, how do you guys feel going into this? What do you think about that crop of 50 where, in terms of worldwide gross and the movies we're going to be considering here? Do you have any sort of broad, large feelings
Oh,
heading into
man.
this?
All I'll say is Disney must be really nostalgic for 10 to 5 years ago. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing fairly better now comparatively to some of the previous years, but there was one year where I feel like the top 10 highest grossing movies from that year may have been 2019, if I'm not mistaken. It was all Disney owned
Yeah.
properties, like wild, absolutely wild. And like $9 billion movies came from the year 2019 alone, if I'm not mistaken. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, that was an interesting observation when doing this exercise, because initially the first thing I did was I took the top 5 from each year. Now, obviously, a year like 2020, and I can't recall if I even sent you guys this or not. I might have. But in that initial list that I put out next to 2020, I just put LOL.
You put LOL. Yeah. It did not count as a year.
Yeah, because it's like, yeah, that year made no money, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And 2021 it had some big hits, but not nearly as many, for sure. Especially when you look at 2019. And 2019 was a crazy year because, yes, 9 out of the top 10 in terms of worldwide gross made $1 billion. And much of it, to your point, Brennan, was Disney properties. It was Avengers Endgame, The Lion King, Frozen 2, Spider-Man Far From Home, which is technically Sony, but obviously Disney is a big part of that.
It's a partnership.
Captain Marvel, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, Toy Story 4, Aladdin. So 8 of those 9 is Disney. Or no, 7 of the 9.
7 of the 9.
If we're including Spider-Man Far From Home as Sony.
That's wild. That's
7.5.
That's why I say Disney must be really nostalgic and yearning for a time and place as it used to be for them. Because I think it was last year, especially when we talk about how Warner Brothers had a killing of a year and Disney did not. Exactly. There's a time and place where they own the world.
Yeah. And then they made a lot of bad decisions that we've talked quite a bit, quite extensively over the last few years.
They're too busy chasing the next $1 billion movie. That's been their business model for so long, and that's not sustainable at this point right now.
Yeah, and we've certainly talked about how last year was not a very good year for Marvel in particular at the box office, despite how some of those films fared critically, and Thunderbolts did pretty well critically.
I agree.
Fantastic Four, those reviews were okay, solid. They were not terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but none of those movies made money. None of them. And coming into this year, that's why I was like, well, Spider-Man has to hit. Clearly it hit. But again, that's Sony and Disney, so they're splitting that.
Yeah.
What is Endgame going to be like? Is the Endgame going to hit? One assumes that it's going to.
Oh, you mean Doomsday?
Doomsday, yeah. I keep conflating the two. Yeah, Doomsday. One assumes Doomsday is going to hit.
I'm just glad
but
you
I
didn't
don't know.
call
Like, I don't know if it's going to do Spider-Man Brand New Day numbers. I don't know if it will.
I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, I am really curious to see how that's going to hit, if it does at all, especially given the Dune Part 3 of it all.
Yeah.
So
maybe it's because of the bubble that we live in, and our colleagues are also critics and cinephiles, and I listen to those people often. I respect many of them and how they feel, and generally the vibe inside of our bubble for Doomsday is a lot of meh. Like, the trailer was okay. There's still a lot to be desired as far as excitement goes.
Yeah.
Spider-Man certainly injected enthusiasm, though, for sure. But maybe that is just the bubble. Maybe the outside, if you will, the normies of the world are very excited for Doomsday, way more so than the critic bubble. Who knows?
Maybe. You might be right. I've been talking a lot. Megan, what do you think? What thoughts do you have?
Well, I agree with a lot of what you're both saying. I'm kind of a weirdo amongst critics, because I think it's fun to talk about the box office. I think it's fascinating to look at trends, but I very much don't judge a movie. Not that we do here either, but I don't judge a movie's worth based on how well it does at the box office. So for me, that's always kind of an interesting thing to look at. As far as what movies are going to be on a list like this, as far as what are the top grossing, because my tastes, and of course many of our colleagues' tastes, differ from what is in the popular, zeitgeist. Yeah. But I will say, looking at these, it's so disheartening to me that there are so many Disney movies that are live action remakes. I wish there were more original movies. I wish there were not so many that were parts of franchises, even though they're franchises I love, like Star Wars, like Hunger Games, like Planet of the Apes, like, The Hobbit. And so there are many franchises that I do appreciate, but I still wish that there were more movies that were getting attention and getting people to see them that were original films, that were not a sequel, that were not a part of a franchise.
Yeah.
And so looking at that, it's really fascinating. And I kind of was like, am I going to be, before like fully digging into this list, I was like, am I going to be the negative one who's like, I don't like any of these? But that's not true. There are quite
there are
a few
some good
movies
ones
that I
here.
like. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
but there's
there
also-
definitely are.
but looking at this, I will simply say this, and not to spoil our attempt at a consensus top 10. I don't think a Disney live action remake is going to make our list. I'll simply say that right now.
I don't think so either, but to Megan's point, and I was alluding to this a moment ago as well, I think what's so fascinating about this list is it's exactly what Megan is saying, in the sense that a lot of what is popular, it does not equate to the film's quality by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
By any stretch of the imagination. There are a lot of films in that top 50, as I noted, that are going to range in opinion because
Moana 2
quality
is on this
is-
list. That's an evil movie.
Yeah. So that's where this is going to get interesting, because I could see a lot of these movies where we're just weighing them back and forth, kind of in this middle ground of like, I don't feel strong about it, but maybe it's better than some of these others. So comparison is going to be an interesting part of this exercise. And also looking at the box office for those 50, again, when we're just looking at quality, I think what's interesting is that the quality in terms of genre or blockbuster, however you want to define that, a lot of the best ones, I would argue, are not in the $1 billion club.
Yeah, agreed.
They're hovering in that 600 million or 700 million or even less than that. If you're looking at something like Thunderbolts, for example, which I think is top tier MCU, or you look back at the Hunger Games movies, which Megan and I brought up some weeks ago, as I caught up with those back in the spring. And I love those movies, and each of them are hovering in that, 600 to 800 range. So they're not going to be a part of this list. And you can certainly go down the list further and further, and you're going to find those big spectacle movies that are really, really great. They did not translate to huge box office results.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, and again, it's just interesting. That's why I find this conversation fascinating. It's movies that shouldn't be there are the ones that often find themselves there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay. Like Joker is an interesting example, or Bohemian Rhapsody, which isn't quite a billion, but that was 911. Like crazy how movies like that find themselves in the conversation.
That's just weird. I mean, that movie is an exact reason why the music biopic genre is kind of broken.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I mean, I guess to your point, Megan, in terms of like IP and how that drives the world, it's not quality. It's certainly not quality. It's this safe IP that they keep going back to because the results speak for themselves.
I'm trying to do a count here as well. How many of these are the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Of these 50,
boy.
it's
There's
more
quite
than
a bit.
half. It's more than half.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Just looking at them here, I mean, again, you got Endgame, Infinity War, No Way Home, Age of Ultron, Black Panther, Deadpool and Wolverine, Iron Man 3, Civil War, Far From Home. What else?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I guess it is
So
less
quite
than
a few.
half.
Yeah,
That's
less
a
than half.
lot.
but
It's less
still
than half,
quite a
but
few.
it's more than 10 of them.
Yeah.
Which,
a
but I
sizable
mean,
chunk.
but again, that's only an individual pocket of the entire Disney machine of what they have here. Because there's Star Wars represented here. There are Disney animated movies represented here. There's Disney live action remakes represented here. So I feel like Disney represents at least like 75% of this list.
Yeah. 2 of the top 5 are the MCU. The top 5 is actually kind of funny to me because it's like, okay, let's pretend we don't know what the top 5 is and we had to guess. And
Yeah.
so your first guess is like, okay, the MCU is in there somewhere. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. What if I told you Star Wars was going to be there? Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. What if I said James Cameron was also going to be there? Like, yeah, that all
That makes
tracks.
sense. I know where you're going
makes
with
sense.
this. I know where you're going with this.
Like, that's the top 5. It's like, it's Marvel, it's Star Wars, it's Cameron. Okay, that all tracks.
Well, though I was going to say, I don't know if you were actually getting to this, so I apologize if I'm stealing your thunder a little bit. But if you're talking about this to some person that may have more of a distant knowledge of movies, unlike we do, you mentioned those movies. Even the average person is like, okay, that kind of makes sense. And then you go, what if I told you Neza 2 was in the top 5? Their reaction, what is that?
Yeah. A movie that A24 semi-releases in the United States and nobody here has any clue, but yet it's this worldwide sensation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of it for sure.
Absolutely.
So, okay, with all of that laid out, are you guys ready to get into this? We got 50 movies to consider here.
Yeah, where do we start? And I guess first thing, let's also say again, just for context, we'll be doing a consensus top 10. So we're not going to do, we're not going to rank all 50.
Yeah, we're not ranking 50. There's no way.
We're going to try and pick out what we think are the 10 best.
I think we should start here because I think as we go, it's going to get more and more challenging.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite? Is there a best of these 50 for you?
Yeah, I think so. At least I have a favorite for sure.
Okay, me too. Yeah. Which is why I feel like we could start there because whatever our top 3 is, unless Megan goes way off the board and goes with Deadpool and Wolverine, which I don't foresee happening.
Please don't, Megan. I love you, but please don't pick that one.
Yeah. Where's the horror film on this list? Because that's where she would go.
Now, hey, if we were talking about profitability, then Obsession definitely needs to be part of the conversation.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Okay, Megan, do you have a favorite or a best of a film that you would argue is the best here?
I have a 3, so I'm torn, but I feel like I'm going to go with Barbie.
Barbie? Okay.
So that's okay. That's your favorite then? Okay.
If I have to pick one. Yes, because I was like, I love all my 3.
Looking at these, I mean, I'll simply say this. Barbie should absolutely be in the top 10 somewhere. I don't know where, but I think it absolutely should be. My favorite's Oppenheimer.
Same. Yeah.
It's an excellent one.
Yeah. So I love that we just went straight to Barbenheimer. That is just so funny.
It's like, that's what you want movies to be. And it's not just, the event of it all, but the fact that both movies actually were able to put their money where their mouths were, right?
Yeah.
Like they sold this cinematic event and both movies rocked. Like that was, I think that was what made it such a great event in the first place. It wasn't just the grassroots marketing of it all, as cool as that was. It's that both movies were flat out excellent.
Yeah.
Yes.
And coming off the heels of the pandemic, Top Gun Maverick certainly set a precedent. If I had to say there are 2 major defining events of the InSession film era within the confines of what we're talking about here in the conversation we're having, I would say it's Endgame and the build up to Endgame and Barbenheimer. Those are the top 2 defining events of the InSession film era in terms of box office.
That's fair.
And so to start with one of those, I think is deeply hilarious and also appropriate. So,
Should we cheat by just putting one slot here for Barbenheimer?
No, I don't think we should.
I'm kidding.
That's kind of amazing that you suggested that, though. But I also love that because Oppenheimer was like my number 4. It was like number 3, number 4. Because I also love it. But I love that these are, Christopher Nolan, Greta Gerwig. These are 2 directors who have very strong visions. They know exactly what they want to do. And so, So I love that it's all like fitting perfectly.
Yep. And I love that. Barbie sitting at number 15 on the list is incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Given you have all of this IP behind it, including many MCU movies, of course, and Jurassic World, which those movies, they continue to eat money. And I don't understand. Like given the ratio of quality to money, the Jurassic World movies are below my mind. Like,
It's dinosaurs. That's it. It's
That's
dinosaurs.
all people care about. Yeah.
By that logic, the end of Oak Street should be the biggest
Well,
box
that's
office hit
what I
of
was
the
going
year.
to say.
Yes,
This next weekend is going to be an incredible litmus test of all of this.
that's correct. That's correct.
We'll find out if it really is dinosaurs or if people have a taste issue that we need
Right.
to address.
Or maybe it's dinosaurs theme parks. Like that's what
Yeah,
it needs. It can't
perhaps.
be like dinosaurs in
Yeah.
suburbia. It's got to be dinosaur theme parks.
The caveat must be Jurassic must be in the title. Somewhere.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was the end
Yeah.
of Jurassic Street, maybe then it would.
Exactly.
Oh gosh, Megan, you're on to something with that one.
Yeah. I'm sure they tried that and lawyers were immediately like, nope,
No.
absolutely
Can't
not. Okay, so Oppenheimer and Barbie, that makes sense. Those are the first two on the list. We'll see where it goes from here.
Mm-hmm.
What would be your guys' number two then?
I don't know if this one would be my number two, but as far as quality, this one would certainly be somewhere in my top 5, and that is Avatar: The Way of Water.
Okay. Yep. I can chime in there as well because it's in my 5 as well.
Oh,
Okay.
It sits at number 5 on my list, actually.
Okay.
So I'm right there as well. I can't recall, Megan. I feel like we've talked about the Avatar movies. You're not as high on them as we are. Is that correct?
I
Or
am
am I-
not. Yeah,
Okay.
no, you are absolutely right. I am not a fan of them, sadly.
It's the thing is though, at least for myself and JD, it's that it's less so the franchise and more so the Way of Water is really the extent of our fan. I mean, there are things about all 3 movies that I think JD and I like, but the Way of Water I think is the perfect encapsulation of how great that franchise could be just rolled into one movie.
That is
Yeah.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and that's a movie that has continued to get better and better each time that I watch it. I could make a case that it's Cameron's best movie. And I know that's going to
Whoa.
rub some people the wrong way, but I'd be willing to go that far. I really
Not
do
quite
think
there,
it's that
but I
great.
think it's quite good. I think it's definitely one of his better movies at the very least. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys are convincing me to at least watch it a second time. So I will watch it again.
The
I love
familial
it.
dynamics are actually quite good in that one.
I agree.
It feels like that was the story, the emotional center of the story that Cameron always wanted to tell. He just didn't know how to structure it as a series in order to get there. It's like all of his creative ideas, emotionally speaking, were all funneled through that particular story. And it feels like such a centerpiece of where that franchise is.
Yeah. And I think also part of it is it was a decade in the making. I kind of love that in order for that emotion to hit, he needed to take the story to the water. And in order to do so, he had to invent technology that would work for him. And that took a really long time.
I know.
And he just didn't rush it at all.
Well, he didn't rush it, but even so, like the fact that he took so long with it is part of what made me so cynical about it in the first place, because I didn't love that first Avatar as well. So all of that coupled together, I went into the theater seeing The Way of Water thinking, all right, let's just get this over with. And I remember sitting there about halfway through thinking like, am I seriously vibing with this much? Like I am genuinely invested in this movie right now. I did not expect that.
I agree. Like, I fell head over heels for it. I think it's some of his best writing. Not that Cameron is a great writer, and I would never go as far as to say he should have been nominated for an Oscar.
No, but
I do
the
think
storytelling in that movie's good.
Yes, I agree.
He's always been a great storyteller.
Yeah, the overarching plotting is whatever. And I don't think Cameron has ever been interested in that anyway, as much as it is the specific character dynamics.
Yeah.
And that emotional underbelly for me bubbles to such high degrees. It's fascinating. And when it intersects with that plotting, I just think it's some of his best work, coupled with how much better I do feel like the visuals are. Again, I say that at the risk of sounding like an idiot, given that the visuals of the first film were the selling point at the time.
Yeah.
But I still think The Way of Water and utilizing the technology that he did, and coupled with how CG has simply advanced over the last 15 years anyway. I think he's made all of that work to his advantage. I mean, it is an immersive movie in terms of world building, but I think he's really more interested in the emotion of it, and that's why it works.
So I guess the burning question then is, Megan, since you're not as high on this movie as JD and I are you going to actively push against it to be in our top 10? How are you feeling about that possibility?
No, I expected it to be there, so I'm okay.
Okay.
I knew you guys would want to have it, so I kind of knew.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. I mean, I think since you and I have it in our top 5, I think the weight of that has to also be considered here.
I agree.
And it might also just depend, like, as far as how far it drops, what else comes up.
What else comes up? Yeah, there's more to
because
talk
the
about.
back half of this again is going to swing wildly, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm
So
looking
we'll just have
looking
to
at
wait
this
and
list
see.
again. This is going to be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting. So the weight of us having it that high, I think, will play a factor eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that was number 2-ish on Brendan's list. Megan, what do you have at number 2?
My number 2 is Frozen. I love and adore Frozen, always and forever. I think it's incredible. It's a great film, beautiful message, catchy songs still to this day that I will always sing, and they make me cry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I love it.
Yeah. Am I the weird one that likes Frozen 2 a little bit more?
I like Frozen 2 as well. I think that's a beautiful story too. It's high on my list as well.
It's a wacky movie. It's just
It is. It's weird. Yeah,
I kind of love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love both of these. It's interesting. I find myself championing them for different reasons. It feels like I probably prefer the weird wackiness of Frozen 2. Like it has an ambition that feels foreign in the landscape of Disney these days. So I do love it for that reason. The first Frozen, I also go to bat for. I feel like it's one of those movies like a La La Land, for example, and many others we could bring up where it becomes victim of the zeitgeist because it's so popular. And as soon as you get to a certain point in popularity, everyone puts their sights out and God damn it, we're going to take that motherfucker down.
I will say, since becoming a dad, I did watch a little bit of that first Frozen a few weeks ago when my wife's nieces and nephew came to visit from Tennessee, her brother's family specifically. And I've always liked Frozen, but I've always been a bit of a bit of an Olaf hater. But I think it's more so to do with the Josh Gad of it all, because I just never found him to be that appealing as a performer.
That's fair. Yeah.
He was just never my cup of tea. Nothing against the man. He just never was my cup of tea. But rewatching it again and watching how kids can interact with that kind of humor, I was more warm to him. And I admittedly laughed at a lot of his lines, like, I don't have a skull or bones. As random as that is, it just kind of tapped into my newly found sense of humor. So even though I admittedly do like Frozen 2 more, I wouldn't say it's that far of a disparity anymore. That I think as far as Disney being represented in some way for their animated film specifically, I think Frozen kind of makes the most sense.
Yeah, I don't totally disagree with you on Josh Gad. It's such an interesting duality, I guess, because generally I don't find his humor all that appealing either, except as that character. I think he's actually very good as Olaf.
What I
That's
think
the
it is?
only performance of his that works for me.
I think I'm still not getting over another film that he's in that is in this top 50 that you mentioned earlier, JD. And his performance in Beauty and the Beast, I think, is one of the worst things I've ever seen.
It's horrendous. It's so
It
bad.
is very bad.
Yeah, and I'm not over it. I'm not over it.
I love that that's casting like a pallor over his other work.
I know.
But I love his humor, and I love how morbid his humor is in both of the Frozens.
That's fair.
One of my favorite lines in Frozen 2 is talking about their parent, like catching up on an Elsa's story, and he's like, and their parents, they were dead. It's so
the
morbid.
way he says dead is
I know,
incredible.
it's so amazing. But like in the first one, like you're saying, like, I don't have a skull. Like, it's so morbid. I love it. It's so great. But but something else we haven't talked about Frozen and Frozen 2 as well. It continues this theme, but I am obsessed with the queer undertones.
There it is. I
of
was waiting for that to come up.
Frozen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
You
That's
knew
fair.
I was going to bring it up.
It
Yeah,
is.
I love it.
It gives it an edge. You know, it really
Yes.
does.
Yeah.
It makes it feel like a
No,
very
yeah.
There's something very progressive about that movie, and I do appreciate that.
Well, and all joking aside, and I feel like this was discussed at the time when it came out, when we did the review back in 2013, that like part of what makes Frozen great, and I still don't understand why it hasn't been as dissected as it could have been, because everyone simply, at least from what I saw, I could be completely misguided here, but it felt like everyone was clinging to the popularity of the film, and the songs were everywhere. You cannot escape the songs. Let It Be or Let It Go. It was endless. Everywhere you went, that's all you heard. And then, of course, it goes on to be nominated at the... Did it win that category? I can't really remember. But either way, it was everywhere. Yeah, it was everywhere. And I think people simply became overwhelmed. But the film itself, I actually think, is very clever. Yeah. Not just in terms of how progressive it is thematically in that regard, but also how it actively undermines the Disney formula.
Yes.
It calls it out specifically.
Yes.
Every beat that makes classic Disney what it is, Frozen sets it up to completely subvert it.
Absolutely.
It is
Through the lens of those progressive ideas.
And that is
It's
a great
fascinating.
point. It carries the aura of a classic Disney animated movie, but really has this deconstructionist attitude to it, which I think is even further heightened by the weirdness of Frozen 2. And I hope they continue that trend with Frozen 3 and now apparently Frozen 4, right? So and I hope they kind of keep this momentum going, that these movies are all about kind of breaking the ice, if you will, of the Disney formula, which these two movies kind of do in some ways. You might not notice it. It's kind of more of a facade in the first Frozen, but I kind of like that it's there very subtly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's great. And that's why I've always gone to bat for the first Frozen, because
Me too.
I do think it's very, very good. And its popularity, unfortunately, created a backlash just because it was popular. It had nothing to do with the quality of the movie.
Happens
it
with
had everything to do with its popularity and nothing else, which I think is so silly.
I agree with you, but I think the other factor in the popularity is the fact that it is female-centric. Whenever you have a female-centric story, franchise, and not just female-centric in the sense of like the newer trilogy of Star Wars films, although certainly those obviously have had backlash too for being female-centric, but it's when you have a huge audience that it's geared towards girls, geared towards women, it is quite often torn apart. And so Frozen it's certainly not the only reason, because you're right, the ubiquity is, certainly a reason that people kind of, tore it apart and were like, I've had enough of this. But I do think the fact that it is geared towards girls is a huge reason too why people are going to tear into it, whether they acknowledge it consciously or not.
Yeah, probably more unconsciously, but still it is definitely a part of it nonetheless. I agree with you there, Megan. I'm okay keeping Frozen somewhere in our list. Like I said, even though Frozen 2 is my preference, I don't know if we have room for both of them. Maybe we will when it's all said and done. But I think at the very least, if we at least place one of them, and I'm okay with the first Frozen being our represented pick of how good these animated movies could ultimately be.
I love that you said that, what they could be, and what they all should be. Yes.
Well, I have another example that I'll get to, one that's also probably my top 3, if I'm being honest, of what a great animated movie could be. Frozen's definitely one of them, though.
Okay. I'll just simply, we don't have to spend a lot of time here, because number 2 on my list is The Force Awakens.
I was going to ask. Yeah, I think we need a Star Wars movie somewhere.
Yes, that's my number 3. I'm so excited.
Yeah, we can simply point people back to episode 682. That's the last time the 3 of us were together. We did a bracket for space movies, and The Force Awakens was a big part of that conversation. And we talked quite at length. I went to bat for it.
Yeah. It's a good movie. I don't love everything about it, but it's a good movie. It's a fun movie with a lot. It's interesting. We just got done talking about Frozen and Frozen 2 having this kind of deconstructionist mentality and how one movie's a bit weirder than the other. I feel like you could take that exact conversation and apply it to The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
in a way, The Last Jedi is the Frozen 2 of this conversation. I think it's certainly the weirder movie. It takes a lot more risks, and I kind of prefer it because of that. But it's also a much looser movie. Like The Force Awakens is a much tighter, more controlled movie with a more clear-cut goal, as opposed to just trying to be deconstructionistic for the sake of it. So I don't know if I have a preference between those two Star Wars movies, but at the very least, I like that The Force Awakens is going to be represented.
Yeah,
it would be in my top 10 as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love both of them, obviously, and I'm sure we denoted that on 682 as well.
Yeah.
I just really love The Force Awakens. I mean, to your point, as far as how similar the movies are, it's that deconstructionist mentality that just doesn't get enough credit. And I think it's every bit as good as what Rian Johnson does. It's currently my number 2 Star Wars movie. I really love it a lot. I think it's some of John Williams' best work within that franchise too. Maybe underratedly, I don't know. But I will absolutely adore the new cues he brings to that sequel trilogy. I think
Rey's theme's
compliments.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rey's theme.
It's phenomenal. Like I love all that stuff. So, and I love it a lot. So yeah, that was easily number 2 on my list.
Okay.
So
I'm taking notes here so we don't at least forget the movies we want to include. We can talk about ranking them towards the end. I'll get to a movie that I don't think is going to be on either of your top 10 lists. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I mentioned that there's one animated movie that I wanted to highlight that I think represents how great these movies could be. And this is one that did get a lot better for me after becoming a dad. Because one movie I rewatched after becoming a dad, and this is going to sound like a random pick, but trust me, it makes sense in the context of this conversation.
If you say Lilo and Stitch, I'm walking.
No.
Oh, no.
No. But a movie that my wife and I decided to rewatch after not seeing it since we were maybe kids was Three Men and a Baby. And it made me realize, man, there was a time that movies just did not understand what it meant for, being a dad. And then I rewatched Incredibles 2, and it's like, this might be the best Pixar movie. It's for how much it gets that right. And
I've been a champion of that film since day one.
I have too, but that's gotten better for me after becoming a dad.
Yeah.
I will still say that the third act of Incredibles 2 doesn't fully hit the mark, but the first 2/3 I think might be better than the original. And again, that's more of a subjective, personal reaction that I'm having to the movie now. But I think it gets a lot of that parental stuff so right. There's something so relatable for that movie.
Yeah.
And I as far as how great animated sequels could be, because there are a lot of animated sequels on this list. Incredibles 2 does it very well. Underratedly, I think. I think that's a very underrated movie.
I agree. I have called that film a documentary for a reason. It is the best documentary about parenting I've seen because it is 100% true. It gets it 1,000% right. And it's incredible. I agree. I don't have any pushback to anything you said there. I mean, I love that first Incredibles a lot as well. I mean, both of those movies I think are among Pixar's best work. Yeah, but Incredibles 2, very much underrated. It just doesn't get talked about in the same vein as that first Incredibles, but I think it's just about as good.
Yeah, and like I said, for a good chunk of that movie, I think it might be better than the first Incredible. The comedic timing in that movie is kind of special.
It's very, very good.
Yeah, and that's the Brad Bird magic of it all. But yeah, I think Incredibles 2 is quite incredible.
Pun intended. I agree.
Yeah, had to do it. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm learning my dad jokes as we speak.
Yeah, I don't necessarily that's not in my top 10, but it's certainly I don't have an 11 through 20 ranked necessarily.
Okay,
but it would be among that list of films for sure.
Well, maybe it might be one we can include in the back end of our 10, depending on how things go here. So I'll keep a note of it as a possibility. But it's in my top 3. honestly. So I might really try to push for it if we can.
Yeah. But I will also say this. And again, I'm probably going to say this at least a dozen more times. But anything in the back half of even my top 10, and especially that 11 through 20, it's going to range so much that you almost have to be flexible and willing to go with where the conversation goes.
Yeah.
So despite where it may or may not rank for me, is it any worse than any of the other films I'm going to bring up? Not really. So I won't be upset if and when it makes the list, I guess is what I'm saying.
All right. I think I'm not going to get to it yet, but I think there's a particular subset of films, a particular category of films where we're probably going to have the most disagreement as far as quality is concerned. We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm interested to see where this particular category takes us when we actually get there.
No, absolutely. Because just looking at the films I have that I want to bring up at some point in this conversation, like, am I going to be the only champion for them? Maybe. I think that's a very real possibility.
Same here. Yeah.
Which that's fine. Like I totally understand that. So that's why, again, it's just going to be so wide ranging. I'm curious where this goes.
Me too. All right. We talked about 6 movies here. Yeah. Where do we want to go next?
Where do we want to go next? Megan, what's next on your list?
Okay. Well, next on my list, luckily we've already mentioned some, like Oppenheimer. Talked about Frozen 2, which is also up on my list as well. But my next one that we have not talked about yet is Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. I love the Hunger Games.
Is that in the top 50?
I mean, not Part 1, Part 2.
Did I read
Wasn't
that?
that in
Am
the
I
50?
crazy?
Am I crazy? I thought that was in the 50.
I don't think that's in the 50. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
through the
Megan.
list here.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't delete it. That's my bad. I'm sorry. I had it on my original list.
Yes.
I didn't realize we were doing the top 50, so then I went through and erased. I apologize.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be totally
sorry.
against including something from the Hunger Games.
Because I was about to get real excited.
I was so excited. I know. I was like, wait. I'm so sorry. I destroyed everything. I'm sorry.
So Catching Fire is the closest at 59. That's 865.
No, I know. I'm so sorry.
Mockingjay Part 1 is 71 at 755. So, man, I wish they were part of this. Going back to that conversation we had earlier.
I mean, yeah, there's certainly. These are movies that are at least trying things. Then certainly anything with the word Jurassic in the title at the very least.
Oh yes, yeah. Hunger Games should have done Jurassic numbers.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I left it in, because I was like, it should be here.
I just keep forgetting, or I keep trying to train myself to forget that these Jurassic World sequels all exist.
Listen, I hate them so much. So yeah. so if we're okay, so cut that. Mockingjay's out of here, sadly.
Sorry.
I have like all the Star Wars movies here because I love Last Jedi, I love Rise of Skywalker, and I love Rogue One too. But if we want to pivot to something different, to something we haven't talked about yet, I don't love this movie as much as I love the first, but I do think it's a solid sequel, and that is Inside Out 2.
That is interesting.
See,
didn't expect that. I know.
So now Megan is speaking my language.
I was just gonna say. I think I might be the more contrarian of the three of us when it comes to this one.
Well, look, I will also say this. I have loved and defended Inside Out 2 a lot.
Yeah,
and I'm one of its biggest champions. I don't have it in my top 10. Again, it's in that unranked 11 through 15, and I don't even know where it would rank there. I do really like the film a lot. Do I think other films should be in above it? I do. So it's one of those, I think, well, maybe you have to wait and see. But I really like the film a lot. And I'm still going to continue to defend and champion that film, not just in terms of how it ups the ante in terms of that emotional complexity, but I think it is genuinely, I'm not even kidding,
Yeah.
one of the best hockey films I've ever seen.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that's why I'm gonna make a note of it so we don't forget about it, because I'm sure JD, I could see you bending over backwards to give it the hockey argument to put it in the 10. It's
Like it's so
I
good.
think the movie's okay. I don't think it's bad. I think it's okay. I think it has some great things in it, but it's certainly not in my 10.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't have it in my 10 either.
Yeah.
So but then again, I think so much of this is going to depend on what shakes out in the back half of this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But certainly one to
Oh.
consider. I think that's one we can consider.
I think so. Yeah, we can
now-
certainly keep it in the back of our mind.
I will say this again, every other film that I have on my list, if I'm the odd man out and you guys don't love it as much, totally fine.
Mhm.
There is one movie I will fight tooth and nail for, though.
Oh,
It's number 3 on my list.
I think I know what one it is. I'm not going to say it. I'll let you spill the beans. But if it's the one I'm thinking of, then yeah, I think we should include it.
For me, that's Top Gun Maverick.
I knew it. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
Good movie. Good movie.
I
Well,
really love that film a lot.
kind of, in a way, I think you already alluded to this earlier, JD. But when we talked about Barbenheimer, in a way, the success of Top Gun Maverick kind of inadvertently predicted the possibility of a Barbenheimer-like
Yeah.
event
Helped
happening.
pave the way for sure.
It kind of did, yeah. Well, in a way, it also kind of fixed movie theaters after the pandemic. It kind of saved a lot of the perspective on how successful movies can be in a time and place when we couldn't even go to the movies for a while. Like it was so helpful in that regard.
Yeah. And again, I'm certainly willing to admit that there's a bit of a bias for me as well when it comes to Top Gun. But also, I do think I would make the objective argument in the sense that it is one of the best blockbusters we've seen in recent years, in the sense of the practical filmmaking and how it has set a precedent for that as well. Not that modern blockbusters haven't used practical filmmaking before, but there's been such a huge shift in momentum these last few years in particular, especially when we're considering people outside of the film critic cinephile bubble, as Megan and I talked about a few weeks ago, going back to Obsession earlier in the year and Backrooms and those kinds of movies being what people are salivating for now. It's part of why the Odyssey has made $1 billion.
Yeah.
And you were starting to see people shift toward wanting things like that. Of course, going back to Sinners last year as well, and everything Coogler did in terms of talking about large formats and why you need to go see these movies in large formats. People get excited for this stuff. I mean, even with Spider-Man, I feel like so much of what's being talked about with that film outside of the Jean Grey of it all is the practical swinging and the in-camera stunts that they do for that movie, which is more in line with the Raimi films than anything else we've seen in the MCU, which of course Megan and I talked about in our review for that as well. So given that that is where the discourse is right now, and again, I know that many films had done this prior to Top Gun Maverick, but since the pandemic especially, that's the film that set the tone. And that's the film that, like, even going back to 2022, that's what people were talking about then as well.
Yeah.
And really anything with Tom Cruise, because he's an insane person who does all of these crazy ass stunts anyway, regardless of
That is
movie.
that's the medical term, right? He's an insane person.
He's an insane person. and we love him for it.
Yeah.
And the practical camera work, them inside the cockpit, like all of that is breathtaking. So like from a cinematography perspective, Top Gun Maverick certainly brings something to the table that a lot of others don't. And on top of that, I think the way it crystallizes the emotion of it, compiling everything from the first film. And I think, again, this is where my bias comes in a little bit, because I do think that first Top Gun movie from the 80s is genuinely one of the best films of the 80s and has a little bit of that Fight Club syndrome where people love it, ironically, for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
like people, they think about the bravado of that film and they want to become a pilot because they're inspired by everything they see there. And that whole film is a deconstruction of said bravado. That's the whole idea. And how this film takes that and enhances it to these new degrees while adding in the emotion with Rooster and the conflict between him and Maverick. I think all of that is just phenomenal. I equally love it from a writing perspective as I do from a practical filmmaking perspective, and the performances of it all as well, which I think is really great. Like I've genuinely called that movie it's Maverick's, like that film has more in common with Manchester by the Sea than it does other airplane movies.
It's the sad airplane movie.
Yes. And yeah, it should have been titled Top Gun Maverick Manchester by the Sea, like the 2 semicolons. Because those films are very much synonymous with
Manchester by the Maverick.
Exactly.
I can't think of any more clever options.
Maverick changed his name to Manchester after seeing that movie.
Top Gun Manchester. I like that. Yeah.
So like all jokes aside, like I genuinely believe that, and it's like it's all there on the page. So like I would fight tooth and nail for it. I think it's one of the best blockbusters of the decade for sure.
Yeah, it's in my list. I'll simply say that. I'll let Megan speak to it as well in case she has a different opinion or anything.
I do.
And I think we've talked about it before as well.
Have
I
we?
actually don't know that.
I feel like we've
this.
argued this before.
I don't know if we have, but I despise the first Top Gun, like hate severely. And so I went in with trepidation to see Top Gun Maverick. And I will say, I think it is an exceptionally crafted movie. I think it is really great. And for all the reasons that you're saying, JD, it is technically well done. It is extremely emotional. And it is very much about grief and guilt and shame and all of these emotions. And it's done in an incredible way. It's just not my movie. I'm not always a huge fan of movies with militarism or, jingoism, and not that this is a jingoistic movie, but it's a little too much for my taste. So it's not my movie, but JD, I think everything you're saying is actually making me I love what you're saying more than the actual experience of watching this movie, but I cannot deny that this is a great movie. It is. It is I was like, after watching it, I was like, man, I didn't want to like this, but man, is it good. It is a good movie.
And I love that we have this perspective, a different perspective on this movie between the three of us. So let me ask you this, Megan. Is it one of those where, like because of your feelings on it, will you actively try to push it out of the top 10? Or are you okay if it's still included? Because I will say there are a few movies on here that I think one or two of you might try to defend where I'm like, no, I don't want that anywhere near the top 10. I guess I'm just wondering if it's one of those before we get into those other examples that could
that is
happen.
Totally fair. No. Especially because if the two of you were like, yeah, we really like this, I might be like, but no,
Okay.
JD, the fact that JD, you have such strong feelings about it and you're speaking so eloquently about it, I can't not. That would just be, that feels mean. To not have it.
I mean, again, Brendan's thoughts on this also matter because again, it is a consensus top 10.
Yeah.
Again, the big reason I would fight for it is I think it's I have it number 3 on my list. I do think it's one of the best blockbusters we've seen this decade. And if I was to perhaps provide an argument to what you're saying about its jingoistic qualities, the Navy are the bad guys in the movie. So it is a film that is fighting against traditional jingoism in that sense, in terms of Navy procedures and how they treat their own pilots and these customs that are outdated. The film is making a commentary against those things and wanting to provide like some sort of argument for the spirit of the pilot. And that's where it's, for me, less jingoistic, and it's more so about what it means to be in the cockpit. And I find those things to be two different arguments. And that would be my argument for it. The first film, I think, that's a little bit more complicated and trickier, because I don't think it's necessarily making an argument against jingoism as much as it is trying to deconstruct bravado within the military system.
Yes, that
which
I agree.
I think is incredible. So, especially given the reputation of that movie and that Fight Club ethos that it kind of has afterwards, which makes it all the more compelling to me. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, again, that's just another thing I would champion for the film, especially if I was to compare it with others that I feel like are more egregious in that regard. But even outside of that, I just the filmmaking of it all and the emotion of it all, I think, is quite immaculate, and that's the main thing for me.
Yeah, I would argue to have it in the list. I think it's quite great. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll add it to the list.
All right.
At least for now.
At least for now. Yeah, we'll see, because we've talked about 8 movies. I'm keeping a log here. We've talked about 8 movies thus far, and I feel like 6 of them, at the very least, are pretty much locked in just based on how this conversation has gone so far. But we still have a lot to talk about. I'm trying to think of where we want to go next.
All right, Megan, let's talk about Project Hail Mary.
Yes.
I know that you're a big fan. Project Hail
love it.
Mary. Very good movie. It inspired me to read the novel that it was inspired by earlier in the year. I thought that was really great as well. And we have 5 Blu-rays of this film to give away because it is now available on Blu-ray and 4K. And a lot of you have seen this movie, right? It did very well at the box office earlier in the year. And I feel like I got to mention that specifically on this episode as we're debating and talking about our favorite movies that have done very well at the box office over the last 12 years or so. So it did very well. Very good movie. I saw it on a bunch of top 5 lists at the midway point of the year when we were all revealing our top 5 movies of the year so far. So people are loving it. Phil Lord, Chris Miller, screenplay by Drew Goddard, and of course stars Ryan Gosling and James Ortiz and Sandra Hüller, among others as well. What's not to love, Megan? Project Hail Mary.
I mean, it's the best. Rocky is the best. So
Rocky is the best. Is Rocky going to win Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars?
ooh, I don't know, but man, I hope he's nominated. Let me tell you, that would be great. I know.
That would be great. Again, we have 5 Blu-rays of this film to give away. If you want to win one of these Blu-rays, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at InSession Film. We'll put out a post later in the week, and all you have to do is interact with that post. We'll have all the details there, and you will automatically be entered into winning that into that Blu-ray. So I'm very excited for this. Love Project Hail Mary. Very, very good movie, and we thank them for their support. All right, Megan, let's talk about coffee. Yes. I love coffee. I am hyped on it right now, of course, as always.
Yeah, you are.
When we do these episodes, I got to have my coffee cup before we get on the show here because I want to stay focused. I want to, what was I talking about? No, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I want to stay focused. I want to be on task. That's why I drink my coffee. And Coffee Cult not only gives me that caffeinated edge that I'm looking for, but it's all about that high-end quality. This is specialty grade gourmet coffee. It is phenomenal. The flavor notes are just phenomenal. I mean, we're getting into a season here very soon where people are going to want to put fall flavors into their coffees. Mm-hmm. And look, if you want to add a bunch of sugar and nonsense to your coffees, by all means, go for it. Your life, you can do with your body what you want. But that's a lot of extra calories you don't need to have. And I feel like most of the time people do that because they don't like the taste of coffee. It's bland or it's bitter. And if your coffee is bitter or bland, that means it's not a good crop of coffee.
Yeah,
That's
bad
all that
coffee.
means. Like high-end gourmet coffee, it comes with natural flavor notes that you will taste in the coffee. And that's what Coffee Cult is really great at. So go check them out. That's coffeecult.com, coffee with the K, call with the K, coffeecult.com. At checkout, use our code ISF25. Again, that code is 26. I'm sorry. I almost screwed it up. ISF26. And that's 15% off. Again, that code is ISF26. 15% off. And we thank Coffee Cult for their support. Yeah, see, this is where it's going to get fascinating. Where do we go from here?
Well, I mentioned earlier that there's a particular category that's very highly represented in this list that I think might be the basis of where we start to disagree with each other a lot, and that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep.
Because I can tell you right now, my two favorite MCU movies on this list, you two are probably not going to have anywhere near your top.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe.
My
you
two
got?
favorites in the MCU are Age of Ultron and Iron Man 3 from this list.
Oh no.
Age
Age of Ultron is far and away the best Avengers movie, if you ask me. Not even close. Not even close.
Oh, I don't like any of the Avengers movies, so I hate them all. Not hate, that's too severe. I dislike them. I like the other MCU
the other
movies.
ones.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I'm like at a loss for words.
JD's like, where do we go from that? I just threw a live grenade into this
Let me-
conversation.
Yeah, you did. I
Let
love
me
it.
just say this. I like both of those movies. I do like both of those movies quite a bit, actually. And Age of Ultron, given where we are now, might be a masterpiece, especially in
feels like a
foreshadowing.
movie. It feels
Good
like a
Lord.
movie. It has themes. It has an actually written dialogue and performances, and actually looks like it was
Yeah.
shot by a cinematographer.
It is very good. No, I do like Age of Ultron a lot. I've really come around on Iron Man 3. I don't fully love Iron Man 3. I did rewatch it a few years ago and was surprised by how much I loved it. But that final act is still pretty brutal, I think, and that's the only thing that keeps me from fully embracing it.
It's the weakest part. I wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it
it's-
is a good movie. You know, it is very good. I certainly do like it quite a lot. For me, and this is going to come to no surprise, especially to you, Brendan, but the two for me are Infinity War and Civil War. Those are the two for
Okay.
me.
Civil War, I'll go to bat for. Infinity War might be my least favorite of them all.
Okay.
Like I think that's a mess of a movie. That movie feels like to me like I'm a pinball just jumping around between plot points, and it gives me a headache. But I think Civil War is quite good.
Yeah. Civil War, I think, is really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the highest ranked MCU movie for me.
Now that one I can get behind. Like of the MCU movies on here, which I think there are 11 if I counted right. Civil War might be my number 3. Maybe number 4, number 3. It'd be close to the upper tier for me on this one.
Yeah. I have it number 4 on my list. That's how
Of your
high I
overall
am.
ranking. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But again, I never looked at that and went, well, surely Brendan and Megan will have it this high too. Like, I'm not that naive.
Well, I mean, that's. I don't know if it's in my top 10, but if we're gonna, if we're gonna try and find a consensus within the consensus, a consensus within the MCU side of this, that if we want to have an MCU represented film in some way, even if it's not my favorite, I don't mind that it's something like Civil War that I think does the whole like Avengers like balancing thing quite well. As a movie that also functions like Avengers 2.5, I actually think it's quite good. Like I love the balancing act of it all, even despite it still carrying the title of it being a Captain America movie, and still also simultaneously feeling like a Captain America centric movie. Like it's a very well told movie. The storytelling is very efficient in that thing.
I agree. And it has my favorite antagonist. That a movie like Thunderbolts actually has a lot to
It had,
credit.
that's a great, but Thunderbolts owes a lot.
Owes a lot to Civil War. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with the MCU. But I always expected the MCU conversation to be here to be all over the place.
I'm
I
kind of
like,
I'm
yeah.
kind of surprised by that because like you said your top two from the MCU films on this list were Civil War and Infinity War. I always thought you liked Endgame more than Infinity War.
Oh no,
so
I've
too.
always been way like I do like
Interesting.
Endgame as kind of like a cap to everything, and there's a lot of fun nerdy things to enjoy there. But for me, it is, I don't know how else to describe it other than it's the end game. It's the
It's
crystallization of
kind of like
everything.
the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Part 2 of it all.
Yes, and
Yeah.
that's exactly how I described it to Megan a few weeks ago. Like I've
Gotcha.
always loved the part ones more. The
Mhm.
Mockingjay Part 1, the Deathly Hallows Part 1, the Infinity War, like
The Breaking Dawn
ones
Part
to me-
1.
Build up.
Yes.
Oh no,
exactly.
not Breaking Dawn part
Yeah.
one, where they're just playing chess.
Yeah, and that to
Oh,
me,
no.
like the pinballing of Infinity War is irrelevant to me. It doesn't bother me because the nucleus and the ethos of that film is about building up emotion, and it is a very emotionally charged movie. And that to me is the strength of it. It's not, that's a film that's not afraid, given where we are headed. The MCU is crystallizing with these two movies, and like other part ones, it does a great job. And I'm very much assuming Feige and company were looking at movies like Deathly Hallows Part 1 and Mockingjay Part 1 as far as formula goes, because Infinity War does the exact same things in the sense that, yes, there's action, but there's way more spent on building up character and motive and emotion and why characters feel the way they do leading up to Endgame, which is why Endgame is essentially 2.5 hours of nothing but action, which is fine because Infinity War did all the work. And I think the way it presents Thanos is really quite fascinating.
Now,
All
that's
the memes
stuff I like.
aside.
When it's a Thanos movie, like I'm so in on it.
Yes,
that
and
stuff's
Josh
great.
Brolin is fantastic as that character. I am all in on that as well. So, like, again, like from Thanos to the Avengers, yes, we're bouncing around a lot because there's all these characters, but the MCU had spent 10 years building up and establishing those characters, which is why I think the pinballing is mostly effective there, or at least it doesn't bother me at all because
I
it's
think that's the
such an
difference,
emotionally charged movie that carries itself from scene to scene. And that is what I go to the movies for. Like that's what I love
fair.
about it.
That's fair. It all comes down to how that quote unquote pinballing makes you feel, and it affects me more than it does you in the negative way. And I think that's the only difference because I think when it's functioning as a Thanos movie, I think it is quite good. When it's not, I feel like I'm watching that ending sizzle reel that ended Kevin Costner's Horizon movie. That was like that's how I feel watching Infinity War. Like it's like wait go oh now I'm here. Wait oh now I'm here. Wait oh now I'm here. Oh we're back to Thanos. This is good. Wait now we're here. Well now I'm here. It's like
I very much disagree with that, but that's fair. I mean, to each their own.
Megan, what
But
are your
I
thoughts?
think the emotion of it is really well charged, and that's more than enough for me,
That's fair.
especially compared to a lot of others in the MCU. I think there's like it has a focus and a nucleus. Yes, there's a lot of character, a lot of characters involved, and so we're going to feature all of them. I think maybe that's just expectation on my end. I don't know, but I
there's
did
definitely
not
more
have
of a
an issue
center.
with that.
It's definitely more of a center when compared to a lot of what happened in Phase 5. We'll simply say.
Yeah. At any rate.
Yeah, so I actually agree with you, Brendan, that I feel the jarring nature of it for me makes me feel very disconnected and there's not an emotional core. And actually, I think it's funny because my two favorite MCU movies on this list are Black Panther and No Way Home. So, because to me, those are the two most emotional, which are the reasons I gravitate to those. So I think it is quite funny that we each have two favorite MCU movies.
Yeah. This is where it gets interesting. Those two in particular have kind of soured for me a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I think for me with Black Panther, I think it really just comes down to the final battle. I think is one of the worst final battles in any MCU movie. I just think it's the time that Ryan Coogler just left the room, and because everything leading up to it, I think, is really emotionally charged, thematically interesting. I think that first Black Panther is a movie where I think the visual effects kind of got away with it. or at least like they weren't quite up to par with what they wanted to visually achieve, and
Yeah.
it's not quite there. I think
That's
the final
totally
battle
fair.
between Killmonger and T'Challa is kind of sloppy, and for a movie that I wish had a little bit more sophistication, especially for a movie that had an action sequence in that casino in what was it, Korea, if I'm not mistaken. Like
Mhm.
that was terrific. There are some terrific
Mhm.
sequences in that movie, and for it to crystallize that way, I just found to be kind of unfortunate.
That is totally fair. I think for me, I'm so numb to most of the action scenes in MCU movies that to me,
Mm.
I kind of zone out and don't really, I don't want to say I don't care about them, but they don't ever really feel, the stakes don't ever really feel high. They don't really feel striking to me. So I tend to
Mhm.
focus on other facets of MCU movies. And for me, Killmonger is one of the best, if not my
I
favorite
agree.
villains.
I agree with that.
So that to me alone, the visuals, the cinematography, not the fighting sequence, because I agree with you on that, but the rest of the cinematography and the visual style and Killmonger
Just
of it all.
becomes
Yeah.
kind of like secondary in that
Yeah.
regard, given the
Yeah,
emotional
yeah.
center of that movie. That's fair.
Yeah. But no, I can't disagree with anything you're saying because I think you're spot on. I think you're totally right with your criticisms.
Yeah. Again, I don't know where to begin with this. Like my response to those two is similar to Brennan, I guess, in the sense that yes, I like both of them. I think they both have their issues. I'm not too far off from you, Brennan, in the sense that the final act does feel like Coogler left and Feige took over, but everything up until that point was pretty immaculate. Killmonger is far and away one of the better villains of the MCU for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely no qualms there. With No Way Home, that I have in that unranked 11 through 20 space. I really love that film a lot.
Me
It's
too.
That's
like my issues more so with that film are kind of like a John Watts directing issue is kind of my problem
fair.
there.
yeah.
But I think in terms of, and I can't remember, Megan, if we talked about this last week or if it was in our Spider-Man review. It might have been actually in our Brand New Day discussion. Like with No Way Home, for me, it gets bonus points maybe unfairly because it comes out at a time where Marvel is so goddamn lost in terms of where they're heading in the multiverse. And this is a film that, despite my directing issues, knows exactly what it wants to do within the confines of the multiverse. It establishes real stakes and commits to those stakes. And there are major ramifications that not only have a play within the larger MCU, but for Peter himself, which is the emotional nucleus to Brand New Day for all the reasons we talked about. So I do love that No Way Home commits to something, like it has a backbone and a conviction that then trickles into its sequel in some really phenomenal ways. So that does get bonus points for me for sure. I don't always love it visually, but I think that's par for the course, I guess, with the MCU, at least for lots.
Yeah.
That is fair.
But I think as far as the Spider-Man isms of it go, I don't think they could have done a whole lot better.
That's where JD, that's where I'm at with the movie as well. I think it is the best of the three home-centric Spider-Man movies with Tom Holland, that trilogy, if you want to call it that, because it's the first one that actually felt like a Spider-Man movie and not a Spider-Man tries to be an Avenger movie. It's a movie that best understands the emotional ethos of who Spider-Man always was, dating back all the way to the comics, and I definitely sense that in that movie. My issue and why I've kind of soured on the movie a little bit really does come down to the filmmaking. It's mostly to do with, you bring all of these great characters back from different iterations of these Spider-Man films, and even though they're technically in the same scene together, it's edited in a way where it's like, I don't think they were even in the same room when they had this dialogue with each other. And like, I start noticing those seams more, unfortunately. And I like that, it's those things that kind of bother me about the movie, even though the emotional center is very strong. I don't disagree with that.
And that's where I also have to give credit to the performers, because I do think they bridge that gap very well. I think they're all very committed. The performances are extremely committed. And I think as a result, there's still, again, that emotionality to it, even with the manufactured Sinister Six, I guess, that comes into the movie. Like those performers are also fully in it. So even though the editing is kind of strange, pun intended, I totally understand that as a criticism to the movie. I still think the performers and the emotionality of it is so right that, yeah, it's far and away my favorite of the Homecoming trilogy for sure. And again, I love that it commits to stakes that the rest of them very much do.
I agree. I agree with that. I just think it's funny that Thomas Hayden Church is technically in the movie, but he never actually had to arrive on set for it, right? Didn't
something like that.
I think
a great paycheck.
I think they just asked him like, "Hey, listen, we have the stock footage of Spider-Man 3 where you'll be in this briefly. Like, we're just going to use that and superimpose you into the movie, but you don't have to be on set. So here's your paycheck." It's like, are you okay with that?
Perfect. Awesome. I'll take that money all day. Yeah.
So I guess now the burning question is, where do we go from here when it comes to the MCU, and what do we actually choose to include in our ranking?
Again, like we brought up 6 different movies.
We all have different opinions. Well, let me first ask this, Megan. What are your thoughts on Civil War?
I'm not really a fan of it.
Dang it, because I felt like that could have been the closest, at least consensus-wise, but I guess not.
If we're going from the ones that we've been talking about, aside from my own, obviously, I guess I like it the most. I guess Civil War would be the one I like the most of the others. So,
geez, the hardest part of this is just coming up with a consensus ranking of these 11 MCU movies, isn't it?
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
that's why I was worried, because I'm like, I'm not an MCU person as a general rule. There's individual ones I enjoy, but not overall.
I didn't even mention that I think Captain Marvel is very underrated.
Captain Marvel is my 3rd favorite on this list of MCU movies. So
I think that's
I'm
very
glad
underrated.
you said that. Yeah, I agree.
That actually could be in my top 3 of the MCU specific ones. Like, I think that movie's quite good. I really do.
I think it gets unfairly maligned. Yeah. So I agree with you on that. I thought I was going to be alone
on this. Come back later.
I don't know. Where else do we go from here?
Or is this going to fill out our top 10?
This might fill out the top 10. No, I seriously think it might, because what else is left on this list that isn't...
I think we have to also consider The Last Jedi here. Like, I know we have one Star Wars movie already, but if we're looking at this simply as a top 50 and not as a branding exercise where we're trying to equal this out, The Last Jedi is probably better than any of the Marvel movies. Yes or no?
I say yes.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it did what it needed to do by breaking a fan base.
Transformers: Age of Extinction is better than any of the Marvel movies. Yes or no? I'm just kidding.
Oh,
nice try, JD.
I'm just kidding.
I know that
I may not be a Marvel person, but no.
I know that movie's getting a slight reappraisal apparently, but I don't know. The Romeo and Juliet laws still don't. Yeah, there's no defense. There's no defense.
I still love the Transformers part of that movie, though. That still rules. It's with those movies, it's always been the human characters that are weird.
If hypothetically speaking, that was Dark of the Moon instead of Age of Extinction, I would listen to that argument.
No, yeah. If Dark of the Moon was on this list, I would fight tooth and nail. Absolutely. I would make every argument necessary.
I like that. I actually think that's one of Michael Bay's best movies.
Yeah, I agree. No, Dark of the Moon, I think rules.
I think including The Last Jedi here is good. And just simply because it's such a well-made movie, despite the quirks of it and what it did to a fan base, jokingly speaking. But I think Star Wars was a franchise that, whether you like it or not, needed a movie like that to do something by shaking things up a bit. The franchise needed that. Unfortunately, it did it in such a way where people fought back. And it kind of broke a fan base. But I think what that movie is achieving to do, and how it looks visually, and how it's paced, and just simply how it's made, it's well done. I think it's well done.
The Last Jedi, I think, should like, and that feels like an easy win for this exercise, especially because I think we can all agree The Last Jedi is great. We won't ever agree on the MCU.
Okay,
There's just
so
no agreeing.
let's see where we are here, because we talked about Oppenheimer, we talked about Barbie, The Way of Water, The Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi, Top Gun Maverick. That's 6 movies. There's Frozen, and then I fought for Incredibles 2. We also talked about Inside Out 2. That's 9 movies. Is that
I'm okay with at the very least Frozen and Incredibles 2. If we want to save a spot or two for the MCU, we can. But I'm also okay with Frozen and at least Incredibles 2 being there.
I'm
the only other film, and Brendan, this is maybe going to surprise you given our conversation on it previously. But there's one other film, because looking at this list, nothing else really jumps out to me as far as, yep, that's one I got to champion. And I don't know if I have to champion this other than to bring it up to say, I do think it's way better than a lot of these others that we've talked about. Okay. And I've kind of come around on this in a way that was unexpected, but it's a little bit of that thing where you watch a movie and you're like, man, I like that. Or maybe you didn't like it, but you watch it a second time and you're like, okay, that was a little better than I thought. A third time, you're like, I'm kind of coming around on this. And then your kids make you watch it 25 times. And by the 25th time, you're like, I think this is kind of great, actually.
Oh, no. Please don't pick what I think you're picking.
Oh, no.
I've really come around on Toy Story 4.
No!
Yes!
Yep.
Another one that's gotten worse for me after becoming a dad.
See, I've come around on, really thanks to Andrew. And here's where I'm at with Toy Story 4. I still think the Buzz thing is bad. That's my biggest issue with the film, far and away. But everything else, I actually think is really great. And I even if it took a few viewings to get there. And I think part of this for me as well, Brendan, and I know you weren't here for this conversation, it was our discussion on Toy Story 5, which at this point, I don't think is very good. In fact, that's the film that felt completely unnecessary, redundant, and visionless. And bringing Woody back, given the ending of Toy Story 4, it is absurdly contrived. It is manufactured. It makes zero goddamn sense. And he is literally thrown in there to sell more Woody toys. That is it. Now, I do think in Toy Story 4, there's at least an arc there that makes sense. And that goodbye he has at the end should have been it. Him leaving, I think, would have been fascinating, especially given his arc with Bonnie and how she feels about Jesse and her becoming the sheriff and all that stuff, which I think is like, it would have been great to shift away with this new trilogy and let it be less about Buzz and Woody. That probably should have been the trajectory of it. And Toy Story 4 sets that foundation very well, where we don't need Woody anymore. Him and Bo's companionship and arc throughout that film, I've really come around, and I think it's great. The Buzz of it all is the only thing that's just, there's no fixing that. It is really dumb. Really, really dumb. But everything else, I actually think is pretty great. And I would take it over most of the movies here in this top 50, actually.
Oh,
I agree.
Crap. I might get out of weight on this one then. I don't know where to start with that. Man, I think the worst thing about this movie is the Woody stuff now. Because I think this is a movie that's trying to rewrite characters to get to its new thematic idea. Like every time, like rewatching Toy Story 4, and I rewatched it maybe a few months ago. Every time it ends now, I think to myself, Woody is going to regret that decision in a matter of minutes. I don't think the movie does the work to justify that ending. I just don't think it does. To me, it reminds me of something you've talked about a lot, JD. I'm going back to The Last Jedi once again. a lot of people a lot of people push back on the ideas of what that
Sure.
movie does to Luke Skywalker, but you've argued that really the biggest problem with that movie, if there is one, is the lack of context to support those new ideas, right? And I still think that's a fair criticism for The Last Jedi. That's how I feel about Woody in Toy Story 4. I think the context does not exist. I think the movie's rewriting that character in order to get to that ending.
Maybe, but for me, I think it shows us.
I don't
Not
think it does.
so much in the
I don't see it
previous-
at all.
I see it in his relationship with Bo in that movie. It's their
Yeah.
interactions, it's the conversations, it's her showing him what life is like in terms of that freedom and him understanding, especially coupled with the fact that his relationship with Bonnie is not the same as it is with Andy. That's established at the beginning of that movie.
And that's a big thing that's missing for me too, is the pushing of Woody aside so quickly without that context to justify that. Because and maybe this needs to be more of a Bonnie thing than anything. I think there's a whole movie missing in order to get to this ending. I really
Okay.
do.
And I don't I can understand that because I felt that way for years. But for me, I think where that's remedied is that I do think it shows us subtly in the images that Woody sees. Again, it's in his conversations with Bo. It's what he sees in the shop, and especially with how it builds toward that ending of him having this choice between going back to be with Bonnie, who doesn't really want him in the same ways as Andy, and having this new life with Bo that she had shown him several different times throughout the movie. I think it's all there visually, like in the visual storytelling of the movie, and some of it verbally, some of it in the dialogue exchanges. But I think it's there.
You know what?
And I've really come around on it.
Here's what I will say. Even though I don't agree with you guys on this, I will take a step back, and I have to admit I have not seen Toy Story 5 yet. So it's entirely possible that maybe when I watch Toy Story 5, I might be like, okay, you know what? Toy Story 4 was doing something interesting. So I don't have that context. I will admit.
And I will
fair.
admit that is a big part of this as well. Andrew
Okay.
has watched this movie God knows how many times. And I'm grateful to him for it because he showed me new things. And I deeply appreciate it. But a big part of this as well is Toy Story 5, where that ending with Bo, I thought was pretty incredible. It was a great goodbye to that character. And when you see him in 5, it is clear that he is forced into this movie. Like he provides no value, zero value.
Okay.
He's only there in this contrived way because, God damn it, it's Toy Story and we got to have Woody. And that's it.
Okay.
Like him and
Then
Buzz also provides no value. That's another reason why I go back to it's clear that they needed to move away from those characters because Bonnie needed to have her own trilogy. And the Bonnie stuff is great. I love that element of the movie for sure. And Jessie is a big part of it. Her story there is fantastic. It really needed to be Jessie's trilogy. And instead, they keep forcing these goddamn characters into it that are not necessary. Not anymore. What they did for the first 3 films. We thank them forever. Iconic. Love Buzz and Woody forever. And amen. But now, move on. Move on. Like in 5, like those characters are a waste of time. It really brings the movie down, I think.
Okay, so then you know what? I will take that step back and say until I've seen Toy Story 5, then I'll hold off on giving my definitive pushback against Toy Story 4 in the context of this conversation. But for now, I'll just simply say I'm not a fan of Toy Story 4. I don't think it works. And maybe it's just because I think it gets so, or at least the good stuff is getting distracted by the things that don't work, like the dumbing down of Buzz Lightyear. But also, even some of the new characters, like Ducky and Bunny, for instance, they don't work for me. And there's a lot of that happens that maybe is just overshadowing the potential that is good that you're now seeing there, JD. That both of you are now seeing, JD and Megan specifically. So you know what? To be continued for me until I see Toy Story 5. Then maybe I'll be like, you know what? Okay, that movie was doing something interesting.
Yeah. And part of it as well, I forget the character's name, the doll that acts as the antagonist.
Gabby?
Gabby, yes.
Yeah.
So on one of the first rewatches when Andrew first started watching it, because initially I didn't really pay attention all that much because I'm like, I'm kind of mixed on this movie. So I didn't have too much interest.
Yeah.
But when he got to those scenes near the end with Gabby, it freaking hit me like a goddamn Mack truck. And I was watching it out of context. I'm like, oh my God, like I don't remember having this reaction before. And
that's funny.
so I don't know what it was. So then I started to pay attention more, and that kind of started this whole new perspective on the movie. Okay. Even though I did like that stuff enough the first time around, I'm fairly certain we talked about it when we reviewed it on the show back in 2019. But it never registered with me. Like it never stuck with me like the iconic moments from the original trilogy. And then I started rewatching it with Andrew, and I'm like, yeah, this is affecting me as much as anything in that trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I kind of love how that also sets up Woody to move on with his life, that whole element of the film too.
Okay. Well, let me watch Toy Story 5 and get back to you guys on this. But it sounds like
to be continued.
Are you both going to be pushing for it in our top 10 then?
I will say this. If we want to commit to Frozen and Incredibles 2, I'm perfectly fine with that. Would I take it over Inside Out 2? Now that's a bit of a debate. Although Megan had that high on her list, and I do really like that a lot. So I think we have to consider that.
Okay.
But again, if we're including The Last Jedi in this, and I very much think we should, that leaves us with what, 1 or 2 spots for the MCU, and do we want to include that?
Well, okay. So I have another argument to make that I think is just funny, and it's not a specific movie, because I think we've sort of exhausted ourselves with the remaining movies on here. Like I like Furious 7, but I don't need to include it on this list. I like Aquaman. I think it's fun, but I'm fine not talking about that here. I think as far as anything that's left, I think we've exhausted those efforts. But part of me is not opposed to having a top 10 here that does not include an MCU movie, just for the sake of just pushing that narrative. Which I guess that's the cynical side of me. I don't know if I want to do that, but I also kind of do. I don't know.
I hear you. Well, again, like where it gets tricky is that, okay, Infinity War, I'm clearly in a minority there anyway. I very much assumed that a lot of the MCU would function that way. And that's been the case for all three of us, honestly. Yeah. We all have MCU movies that have been kind of mixed in terms of response.
Yeah.
Civil War, that's in my top 5. I don't know how much weight we want to put into that. I'm also very much willing to consider Ultron here, though, as well, because I've really come around on that in a Toy Story 4 kind of way as well. I think it's very much one of the best Avengers movies. Mm-hmm. I know that Megan is anti-Avengers, and that's fine. But if I want to save a spot, I think Civil War and Ultron, or if we want to look at something like Black Panther in the first 2 acts there, like how much weight do we put into Black Panther?
That's a great point, at least regarding Black Panther, which is, admittedly, it's a film, like I said, I've kind of soured on, but that's because I'm putting so much attention onto how unfortunate I think the final act is. Mm-hmm. But I do think,
fair, though.
But I do think the first 2/3 probably are the best MCU movie on this list.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
that's where it gets tricky.
It's one of those times when these movies, the MCU movies specifically, really tried to be like they function like a real movie. It really felt that way.
I think the other thing that I really gravitate towards with Black Panther is the fact that, there's that argument, of course, that they all kind of feel that we've talked about this before. I know you guys have talked about it before too, that so many of the films kind of feel all the same regardless of the director. Mm-hmm. This is a film that to me feels like a Ryan Coogler movie. And of course it's different than his other movies, but it still feels like it has his stamp and his vision.
Not so much the final act as we talked about, but I think for the first 2/3 I could definitely sense the way characters talk to each other, the way humor is interwoven into it, I definitely was reminded of Creed. You know, I think I think there is a lot of that there. So you're not wrong there, Megan.
It's like the anti-John Watts. Yeah.
He's not just a director for hire for all of this.
Yeah. I hate to keep, harping
Or
on
John
him,
Watts. But here's the thing with John Watts. What he's made outside of the MCU, not worthwhile. So it kind of makes sense
that tells
to
you something.
talk about him in this way.
Yeah. Look, I don't condone going to his Instagram page and telling him to stay away from Spider-Man.
Oh,
No.
That was a report that came out. People were doing that. I don't condone that. Don't do that.
That's terrible.
No.
But I understand why people want him to stay away.
But at the same time, it's like you look at some of his individual movies, like actually, I don't even count Wolves. The majority of his movies have been committee driven. Whether it be a Spider-Man movie or something like Wolves, which was clearly, let's bring in some journeyman director to make a movie with George Clooney and Brad Pitt starring with each other again. But it didn't matter.
Movie.
Yeah, it didn't matter who that director was.
Such a visionless movie.
Really, the only movie of his that I would count as maybe a purely John Watts movie, I guess, is Cop Car. That Kevin
his
Bacon
first one.
thriller.
Yeah.
Which is not bad. Like it's a
fun,
kind of fun movie. But it doesn't feel anything like these other committee-driven projects that he's been a part of.
Yeah. No, he's just been a company yes man, and look, he's gotten paid, so congrats, I guess, on that. But he definitely doesn't have much of an eye, for sure.
No.
So Coogler, like the first 2/3 of that is 100% his movie. No, there's no doubt about that.
I'm not opposed to going with Black Panther in that regard, just given the artfulness of how strong that first act especially is. Like it's a special movie for the majority of it. I just don't think it gets there in totality, but it gets there where it counts in a way that I think is worth talking about. I do think movies like Age of Ultron, Civil War, even Captain Marvel are more successful, broadly speaking. But Black Panther might have the higher highs, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
Certainly fair. Yeah. Ultron, Civil War, and Black Panther, I do think are good enough to have a spot here.
Okay.
However we want to negotiate those three, that's fine with me. But like looking at the rest of this list, even if it's in that 9 or 10 slot, I think they're good enough to be here.
So that if we throw in those 3 MCU movies in some way, we have 13 movies that we've listed out here. I think we can maybe agree that is Inside Out 2 not going to make it then? Like maybe we might reserve a spot for one of these MCU movies.
Yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Sure.
Okay. Then there's also the Toy Story 4 of it all, which...
Oh.
Where is that on your list, Megan? Toy Story 4, I'm curious.
Toy Story. Let me look at my list again. Let me see. It's number 14.
Okay. So, and that's kind of where I'm at, like in that 11 through 20 range. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, like if we're both in that top 15, like
it probably gives an edge to something else
yes.
that maybe someone has higher, but then that same movie someone else has way, way lower. So.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I don't know. Again, this is where it gets going to get. Like, okay, so Oppenheimer, Barbie up at the top.
Yeah. I think those are the top 2.
Top 2. And then we have what? Do we want to... The Force Awakens maybe? Because that was really high on your list, right, Megan?
Yes.
I kind of feel
that was
like
2 on my list.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it might be The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi at number 3, number 4, respectively.
Oh my God, I'm not mad at that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and then The Way of Water, that was both top 5 for you and I, Brendan.
Oh,
it was.
Yeah.
So I think the weight of that has to be considered here as well.
Same with Top Gun Maverick.
And Maverick, yeah. So that would be what, 6? That's our top 6 there.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's our top 6. I know I put a lot of weight in Incredibles 2, but I think I was the only one that probably had that in one's top 5 or even top 3.
I mean, I'm high on Frozen and Incredibles 2. Whatever order we want to go with, those can be the next two as far as
I think that's 7 and 8 right there.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we collectively seem to agree more on Frozen. So let's put that at 7 and Incredibles 2 at number 8.
Unless you have any pushback on Incredibles, Megan. Like, God damn it, no, we can't have that in there.
I am not a fan of Incredibles, but I am not. I do not feel strongly enough where I need to push back.
Okay, fair enough. But then I guess that answers my earlier thought that Frozen seems to be more of the consensus of those two specifically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that leaves
So Frozen, Incredibles 2. So then we have the two spots left, right? So
I think one of them should be Black Panther, just given what we got done talking about, or at least if we want some MCU film. I feel like
I think
Black
one
Panther's,
of them should be represented. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they're good enough.
and I feel like Black Panther's the one where we had more of a unanimousness to it, or at
The
least
closest,
as close as we're
yeah.
ever going to get to one.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's next. Maybe that's our number 9.
Black Panther at number 9, and then the number 10 is.
Is it Toy Story 4? Is it Age of Ultron? Is it Civil War?
JD, didn't you say you love? Which one did you say you love? Infinity War? Is that the one?
I have Civil War at number 3.
Civil War. Okay.
That-
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's, I didn't really talk about it too much, but Megan, the best way for me to articulate it is essentially our Thunderbolts review, that conversation. That's how I feel about Civil War. For me, the main antagonist of that movie is an emotion. Like I feel like guilt and grief are the real villains of that movie. And it gives us a person for the Avengers to I don't even want to say fight, but to just kind of seek after. But everything Zemo does in that film, he's fully justified in what he's doing. And I think it's fascinating that he has no powers and still is able to get away with what he does in that film.
Yeah.
I think it's like that conversation that he has with Black Panther at the end of the film is one of the best MCU scenes, full stop, as far as I am concerned. So I had a very Thunderbolts-y kind of response to that movie. I think Thunderbolts' formula is very much inspired by that film, by Civil War, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I love it. So yeah, that's my favorite. Like that and Thunderbolts are very much top tier for me, for similar reasons.
Yeah, Civil War is up there for me as well. And it's not a top 10 MCU film for me, generally speaking, but I do think it is one of the better ones, just given what JD's talking about.
So, but again, regardless of my ranking, if the consensus isn't high enough, then we can fill that last spot with Toy Story 4 or something else you guys are feel strongly about.
I almost feel like the number 10 spot might be Toy Story 4, especially given the fact that I openly acknowledged I will be like giving less weight to my opinion on it until I see Toy Story 5. So if we're going to give you, JD, and you, Megan, more weight on that film specifically, then it kind of outweighs some of these ones, I think.
I'm going to be real curious what you think of Toy Story 5. If you didn't like Toy Story 4, you might throw something at your TV with Toy Story 5.
Or it might make me
surprised.
appreciate Toy Story 4 a little bit more.
Well,
Yeah.
again, exactly. That's why I had to go back. It's admittedly a bit revisionist here. But yeah,
Okay.
that
so
helps.
I have another thought. I'm looking at this list here, this top 50 specifically, and I'm going to throw another curveball into this conversation to see if we feel any passions for this one that might outweigh some of these lingering ones that we're still questioning. What about Zootopia?
I like Zootopia. Yeah.
I do not.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not
Megan,
here
you're
for
killing
the
me, Smalls.
propaganda. Sorry, I hate propaganda. I don't like it. Sorry. I know. I'm the wet blanket here. Sorry.
I love you too. Oh, as long as you don't go with the Battle of the Five Armies, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen it, so I can't go for it.
Please don't. Please don't.
Oh no.
Zootopia is such a fascinating movie, though, because it's clearly an answer to Song of the South. And that alone makes it such a captivating movie to dissect and talk about.
It's
That's what that movie really is. It is an answer to Disney's, the one movie that Disney doesn't ever release to the public.
Yeah.
It was like, well, okay, well, let's talk about it then. I kind of appreciate that Disney was willing to open that can of worms, I guess, because they're, especially these days, I almost feel like Zootopia wouldn't even get made with how conservative they've been lately.
Yeah.
But it came out at the right time and clearly did very well.
Okay, so I'm going to throw another curveball into this conversation, and we've talked about this movie already. Since we're sort of confusing ourselves as to what the number 10 should be, what about Frozen 2?
Oh.
Now you have my attention.
I know. I was like, I love it. So I mean,
I think we all really like that one.
Yeah.
Did we just briefly forget about it because we already have Frozen in the top 10?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, if we have 2 Frozen movies in this top 10 and we release this to the public, our mentions are going to be something.
Isn't that a good thing?
I mean, yes, if the whole idea is to create engagement, for sure.
Yeah, are you willing to take on the engagement? Because I'm not doing it, so I guess that's more on you.
Okay. Yeah, Brendan doesn't have to deal with these crazies.
I don't, yeah. I just like to throw live grenades
Yeah.
into the conversation and see if anyone wants to participate.
Yeah. Look, we made, I thought, some compelling arguments for Frozen. I already know people are going to push back against it for whatever reason. It's going to happen. If we have 2 of them in the 10, I might as well delete the episode. I mean,
All right.
Oh, no.
I wouldn't wish
But-
that on you.
I like it, Brendan.
look, I also love it. I love the idea, but I'm also thinking about my mental health over the next week or so.
Ooh, yeah, protect
Yeah,
your peace.
okay.
That's
Okay,
fair.
Okay, that's fair. Well, it
But
sounds like
it's a justified pick. Like I don't think that's a bad one at all.
well, sounds like it could be Toy Story 4 then, unless we go with another MCU movie.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, what do you guys feel stronger about? Like Age of Ultron, Civil War, or Toy Story 4?
I mean, like Ultron is another fascinating one that I think has aged tremendously well over the last what has it been? I guess 12 years now.
Well,
Yeah.
Given
think
where
of it this
AI
way.
is now, like
Yeah.
it's fascinating.
Okay,
That's a good
let's
point.
let's think of it this way, JD. Then you already talked about not wanting Frozen 2 in this list because you want your mental health to be at a very safe place, given the mentions that could potentially happen.
Yeah, no. It's
Imagine
a
if
good point.
the only Avengers movie we include in this top 10 is Age of Ultron.
Yeah, I mean, we might just be screwed either way. Yeah, that is a good point because, yeah, over Endgame and Infinity War, No Way Home.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Black Panther, I understand being in this list.
Yeah.
I think many people would be like, yeah, that tracks. Maybe the safest thing to do is just go with Toy Story 4 for your own sanity.
Yeah, because at least people like that movie. That's not like it's not as divisive now as it maybe was in 2019.
And like I said, I'm openly taking a bit of a step back when it comes to my weight on that one because I want to watch Toy Story 5 first and see how things change, if they do at all. I don't know if they will. So the 2 of you are high on that one now.
Okay.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the answer.
All right. Well, maybe for the sake of time, because we are going long here, we'll just call Toy Story 4 as that number 10.
Oh, I was going to say, do you want to have 3 animated movies? Are you guys good with that?
Yeah, I think that's fine. We're big animated heads over here, so
Movies are cinema.
yeah.
I agree.
Frozen,
I
Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4. I'm perfectly fine with those 3.
We don't
Each one
have a
10.
live action remake in here, and that makes me happy.
That was the goal here. Yeah.
That was the victory.
Yeah, I mean, the only one that I think is even semi-decent is Jungle Book, and that one, still no.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like that's been a rough go for Disney, those movies. Yeah. I mean, I can find like I think not all of them, but many of them have scenes or like certain aspects that are good, but on the whole, that's been a disaster in terms of quality. But in terms of box office, they don't give a shit because look at these goddamn numbers.
Yeah.
Like there's so many that are on this list. The Lion King is one of the laziest remakes I have ever seen in my life. That made $1.698 billion.
Well, the trend could be changing given the success of Moana. The success of Moana. I say that word loosely.
Yeah.
So I mean,
and Mufasa didn't do all that great either. So
there was a time when these live action remakes, for a while, I thought, man, they're actually going to make movies out of this because I think Cinderella's kind of great.
Cinderella's good, yeah. And I kind of like the new things in Beauty and the Beast. I don't love that movie on the whole, but there's like the new changes they make, the few that they do, I think are pretty good.
The stuff with her father, I think is quite good. Kevin Kline just kind of steals that movie.
Yeah. He gives a performance that film does not deserve.
I agree.
I agree. Not even close. All right. Well, that's our 10. Brendan, you want to lay out the 10 one more time for the people?
Yeah, I don't know if we fully solidified on an order, but did we have both Star Wars movies in the top 5? Is that what we wanted to do, or did we want to put a few?
Fine. Yeah.
Okay. So then our 10 is from 10 to 1, Toy Story 4, Black Panther, Incredibles 2 at number 8, number 7 is Frozen, number 6, Top Gun Maverick, number 5, Avatar: The Way of Water, number 4, The Last Jedi, number 3, The Force Awakens, number 2, Barbie, and number 1, Oppenheimer, closing things out with Barbenheimer.
Yes.
All right. Love it. That's such a fascinating 10. I'm going to be real curious how people react to this. But I like that 10. That's a good 10. Yeah, I'm totally okay with that.
Good movies can actually be box office hits.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew?
Absolutely. Yeah. And if we were to revisit this in the next year or so, one assumes the Odyssey is in this conversation. Very much a part of it.
Yes.
and even on the Marvel front, Brand New Day, I think, would easily be in this above any of these other movies we discussed.
I got to watch these movies, don't I?
Yes, you do. They're great. Amazing.
Sadly, I think I'm going to miss my chance to see the Odyssey in 70mm IMAX.
Come to Miami. There's plenty of showings down here near me. I can't ever go because they're always at the worst times, but they're available.
There are showings at 3 a.m. for this movie.
It's wild.
3 in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and they're sold out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I know. And that's about the only showing I could probably go to is if I wake up at 7 a.m. Like, all right, off to the movie theaters. Here we go.
That's the dream. Going early in the morning, first thing. Amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
All right, well, we'll get out of here. Brendan, it was good to see you again, my friend.
Hopefully
it's not another 6
thanks for
months
having
before
me.
You're back.
It's interesting being a guest on what is technically my own show.
Yeah,
it is what it is, and I will be making efforts to come back as often as I can. You know, we're going to make this a bit of a gradual return. Just given everything going on at home, it's hard to make that full return at this point right now. But maybe you'll see me like once a month, maybe twice a month, or something like that. So we're still working that out. But it was really fun to be back.
Yep. I look forward to you getting back. I think it's safe to say we don't know when. We're aiming for early September, but Brendan at the very least will be back for our 1998 retrospective, which we're gearing up for. I'm looking forward to that. But yes, we'll hopefully get Brendan back soon. Always good to have you back here on the show.
Much appreciated.
I do want to plug real fast our reviews this week. We have 2. We're going to be talking about Jane Schoenbrun's latest film, Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma.
Ooh.
Really looking forward to getting into that one and hearing Megan's thoughts in particular. And then we're also going to be discussing the Netflix film. And when I say Netflix, I mean the Netflix film, The Last House. So be ready for both of those conversations. And then, of course, a new Chasing the Gold at the end of the week as well. Also, check out the website, InSessionFilm.com. Dave and his team always doing great stuff on the website there, InSessionFilm.com.
Indeed.
All right, with all that said, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on the InSession Film Podcast.